Waterman tutorials. Women and females explained. As in, what's the difference between a woman and a female? The reason why I use the term women and females. And the third term I use is ladies. Of course, there's other terms like girl and whatnot. But women are women, right? They're the best among the female gender. Females are not the best when it comes to the female gender. There's two sides. They're two sides of the same coin. So women is on the head side and females on the tail side, right? So front and back, right? So two sides of the same coin. Women are the better female, right? The better of the female gender. Same like men are the better of the male gender. So this is very important to understand because in society right now we have this issue where both sides are talking about, oh, women ain't shit, men ain't shit, blah blah blah. But the thing I hate with that is that men and women are the shit. They're the best versions of the male and female gender. That's what you want to be. You want to be a man. You want to be a woman, right? That's why you hear chicks talking about, where are all the good men at? Those are the guys you're ignoring. You're ignoring the good men, guys who are men. You're focusing on guys who aren't men, who we don't agree with. We don't classify them as men. Just because he has a penis and he's old does not mean he's a man. That's the bare minimum to being a man. He needs more than that to be a man. Same as a female, right? Right? To be a woman, the bare minimum is having a vagina and, being old, 18 and above. But you're not a woman until you learn to be a woman. You're not a man until you learn to be a man. And historically, the way you become a woman, just like the way you become a man, is being taught to be a man and a woman from a man. So to be a man, you gotta learn to be a man from a man. To be a woman, you gotta learn to be a woman. The reason why it's not women teach women is because being a man is generic, as in every guy generically should learn the same thing. But when it comes to being a woman, the difference is customization, right? So there's a little bit of leeway for when it comes to being a woman. So not every woman is going to be exactly the same or have a lot of similarities. They're going to have less similarities because of the importance of being custom made essentially for whatever man you're going to end up with. And I use the same concept for when it comes to marriage. See, a husband inherently has to do the same things. He has to protect you and the family. He has to provide for the family, right? He has to be a good, decent person, right? Bare minimum, right? Be a decent human being, and has to be a leader. So that's not negotiable. Those are the things he has to do as the husband, as the man of the house. But then you add to that is, let's say he's a cop, right? So that's an add-on. That add-on determines what kind of wife he needs to have. He needs a wife that knows how to be the wife of a cop, a wife of a doctor, right? Like a woman who knows how to be a wife to a doctor, right? To a guy who's a doctor, is not going to be a good wife for a guy who's a cop. If you understand what I'm saying, it's like that's why the customization is the difference. That's why when it comes to being a woman, you're what makes you, your skill set has to be for the guy you're with, which is why you're supposed to choose the best guys, right? If you want to be with a guy who's a cop, then you gotta be able to handle that he's a cop. Gotta handle, the possibility of getting the phone call that he's been shot on the line of duty and stuff like that, or other factors, or the fact that your life might be in danger because criminals he locked away might try to get to him through you type of situation. So it's not the same. These details matter, right? being the wife of a lawyer, the wife of the president of the United States of America, and the list goes on. So that's why it's different. That's why it's different, you know. That's why you can't just be like, oh, I'm a woman because I'm an adult. I pay bills, blah, blah, blah. I made myself into some things. Like, none of that matters unless a man is involved. It's like, because it goes back to the whole idea of a king can make a queen, but a queen can't make a king, right? And that is true, because it's the whole idea that it's like, for you to be a queen, you're customizable. That means you there's a king, and let's say he's a king of hammers, whatever. He's a king of like making hammers or something like this, his thing. Well, you need to be customized for him, so you have to learn what he needs you to learn. It's not that different from a job. Like if you go to work at McDonald's, you got to know how to work at McDonald's. You don't just go there and just do whatever you want. You gotta know how to work at McDonald's. Just like if you went to a law firm, you can't take the skills from McDonald's and transfer it over to a law firm, right? Flipping burgers is not going to help you, win a case, a criminal case. Like those don't go together. So that's why if you're going to be somebody's wife, you got to know how to be a wife to that man. You can't just be like, oh, I'm a wife just because I agreed to marry you, so that makes me a wife. That doesn't make you a wife. You got to know how to be a wife for that type of guy. That's the thing. Women are more about customizing. One, they already like customizing themselves already with makeup and all that stuff. They already like the idea of customizing. That's why they create their own reality, right? Oh, I'm a 10 when you're really just a 4, but whatever, right? Reality, you're a 4. In your mind, you're a 10, right? Because you have made yourself a 10, right? So it's so ironic that ladies constantly customizing themselves in life, but when a guy points out the fact that, oh, I need you to do this, that, and the third, you need to be fit, friendly, and feminine in order to be with me, suddenly that's a problem. But all you ladies are always about customizing, and then that's how the relationship works. Being a wife, being a girlfriend, right? Being a woman is about customization. It's about fitting in. So if you want to be with a billionaire, you gotta know how to act like the girlfriend of a billionaire or the wife of a billionaire. You're not just gonna act however way you want and think that's gonna be good enough and that's gonna work with being with a billionaire or a firefighter or a manager at Starbucks or something. Like, you got to be able to fit the role. See, women have to customize, blend into whatever they're involving themselves in. Right? So I went on blabbing. The point is, here's some bare minimum stuff to be able to identify the difference between a woman and a man. A woman and a female. Because a lot of you guys been dealing with a lot of females. So the first thing is emotional control. The way you know she's a woman is that she's less emotional than you would think. Because guys are more logical than they are emotional, and women, right, or females, right, gender are more emotional than logical. But if she has more emotional control, where she tries to process things through her emotions faster and then get to her logic and then starts, handling things logically, that's a woman. See, a female wouldn't do that. A female will just get in her feelings and stay in her feelings. That's the difference, right? So that's the first thing. Second thing would be us. Here it says situational control. It was supposed to say something different, but their directional, as in they'll be willing to. They already, they do try to think ahead. They do try to plan ahead, right? They take things to account, like, yeah, my decisions now affect my future, so I'm not going to be a 3 or 4 right now because that will affect me in the future. I'm not going to start an OnlyFans right now because that's going to affect my future. So they're more, goal-orientated, more future futuristic, right? In the way they think. So there's that. They're classy, right? Which means they're more ladylike. They're less for the streets. So they act more like they would be a wife. They would be a good, upstanding mother. That they would be a positive role model. They wouldn't be out here, showing their ass to the world. So classy, loyal. Obviously, that should be a good quality in both men and women. Is being loyal, right? And loyalty, in different aspects, right? Being honest, right? Being trustworthy, and the list goes on with the whole loyalty thing, right? And then when it comes to, relationships, being loyal to the relationship, you actually truly respect and value the relationship. So of course you'll try to maintain it. You won't try to fuck up the relationship, obviously, right? They're more logical, like I was saying before about like being less emotional. They'll be more logical. So not only just more logical, they'll be more reasonable. Is what I'm really trying to say. They'll be more reasonable because they understand that when they're dealing with a guy who's more logical than emotional, his language is logic. So she needs to speak that language. She needs to be able to communicate better and understand him when they're speaking. Instead of being in her feelings, she has to understand, facts, right? So she's more factual, more compromising. Because females tend to be less compromising, right? Because because it goes with them being more selfish, right? So they tend to compromise less. They want more of a win-lose situation instead of a win-win situation. But a woman is willing to compromise. A woman's willing to take less as long as there's a positive outcome, right? And a lot of times you hear women talk about that they take a lot of shit, they accept a lot of bullshit to try to make things work, and that is a respectable trait. There are limits. Don't let someone take advantage of you, because sometimes being too compromising does compromise you as a person. So you don't want to compromise to the point that it's a detriment, right? Don't let your kindness be a weakness, right? Don't let people take advantage of you. Compromise so that way, everybody can get along, but don't compromise too much that now you're a doormat. Somebody could just walk all over you. So that kind of stuff. Less selfish, right? Because by nature, the female gender is supposed to be selfish, and the male gender is supposed to be selfless. As in, we give as guys, and ladies take as girls, right? So we give, they take, right? We go hunt, get the food, and then they take their fair share of our food, right? Our bounty, our resources. So we're always sharing, they're always caring, right? Because sharing is caring. And then nurturing, right? They're more nurturing, even to, total strangers. They'll try to help them emotionally with like any emotional problem. They'll try to help them socially, right? They'll pretty much act like a mother to anybody, even to their man, right? They'll act like a loving, caring mother. So nurturing to their offsprings, and of course to anybody else, just in general. Females tend to be the opposite, obviously. They tend to act childish instead of like a grown woman. So a real woman would be nurturing. She'll act more like a mother, a caregiver, not a spoiled brat. She'll take less. Like, it's a lot, the female gender tends to, are designed to take things, right? Take resources, consume resources. But a woman would logically try to take less. She'll take what she needs, but try to not take more than that, right? Females will try to take as much as they can, right? They'll overdo it. They'll gluttony will kick in, and they'll take more than they should. A woman will take what she needs. She'll take just enough. So that's a characteristic of a woman. Now females. Oh man, the females. Well, they're more emotional, obviously, more emotional than they should be. They'll they'll, they'll over exaggerate everything. They'll misunderstand things because they're focusing. Because they're thinking with their feelings, not their brains, right? Their logic. So they're going to be more emotional. They're going to take a compliment and turn it into an insult when they shouldn't, because it wasn't an insult, it was a compliment, so they shouldn't get mad about it. They're directionless. They just care about the moment. They don't care about the future. They don't care that their current actions have a rippling effect to the future, so they don't care. So they, not consequenceless lifestyle. They live thinking that there are no consequences for their actions. Like they can do whatever they want and nothing bad will ever happen or should happen. They have this whole bad thing shouldn't happen to them mindset. It's like, but for guys, we're like, well, bad things always happen. The idea is to reduce how many bad things happen to you in life, but you can never prevent bad things from happening to you. But females have this delusional idea that nothing bad should ever happen to them, even when they do something wrong. Oh, I could jump off a bridge and I shouldn't die. Well, just because you don't want to die from jumping off a bridge doesn't mean you're not going to. So don't jump off the bridge. That's stupid. So the directionless, the promiscuous, right? They're not classy. They're not ladies. They don't have self-control or self-respect. So they're going to be very promiscuous, have OnlyFans, and the list goes on, right? So that's the female. Unloyal, obviously, that connects to the promiscuity, where they'll just, they'll let their emotions guide them more than their logic. So when they feel less attracted to their man and feel more attracted to another man, well, they'll follow their emotions instead of logic. And that's where cheating and stuff like that will typically happen from. Because they're cheating out of emotions, not out of, horniness or even logic. Like, this makes sense. I'm going to leave my man and be with somebody else. Like, no. It's always emotion, extreme emotions with them. Very opinionated, which means they don't use logic as much as they should. They're very opinionated. They care more about what they think is true, not what is true. They don't like to compromise, right? Because they want what they want. They're very greedy, and they prefer a win-lose situation, because as long as they win, right? A win is a win. They don't care that somebody else lost. So they're less compassionate. They're less caring, which is unfortunate. Which is a very un-woman thing to do, to be not caring about others, right? Not being compassionate. So then there's of course, being selfish. They're more selfish. They're unnecessarily selfish. They tend to be way too unnecessarily selfish. Even because sometimes they will start off being selfless a little bit, right? Because they're being selfless because they're hoping somebody will appreciate their selflessness. But when somebody doesn't appreciate their selflessness, then they become selfish. And they do the extreme version of selfish. Not they just become a little bit more selfish. No, they just become extremely selfish. They become assholes when it comes to being selfish. Then there's like, I want what I want. So basically you become spoiled brats. And that leads to basically entitlement, right? Then there's fearful, anti-nurturing. The idea is that they're less nurturing, they're more fearful. They act like everything is out to get them. They act like, if they're around the male species, they're in constant danger or something, when they're not. A woman wouldn't be that way. A female would. A female will act like if she's around other human beings, specifically the male species, that she's in danger. Like if she's safer with animals than she would be with a human, with a male, male species. And it's like, that's incorrect. You're more likely to be safe with the male species than you would be with an animal. But whatever. And then entitlement, right? Which is, they tend to take more. They feel they're entitled, right? They feel they deserve everything when they should earn what they want, but they feel they're entitled. They feel they don't have that everything in existence is for them to have. So they'll want more than they deserve. So entitlement, right? Wanting more than deserve. So that's another characteristic of female. That's the end of the video.